All right, boys and girls, it is Tuesday. It is rhyme time, and that means we are switching from social studies to science. Some of the stuff that you're going to see today, this is the second, maybe even third time that you have seen these words and or phrases, and some of this stuff is going to be brand new to us today. As usual, there's going to be a quiz at the end of this for you to take, and some videos attached as well into Google Classroom that you may watch at another time. But when we start to look into body systems and identifying the body systems and how they interact with each other, it is one of those things where I kind of have to start back and talk about unicellular versus multicellular organisms again. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time like we did last week going into this into very in-depth detail, but when we are talking about human body systems, we are talking about specialized cells. Whether those specialized cells are from the digestive system, whether those specialized cells are from the respiratory system, whether those specialized cells are from the cardiovascular system, whether they are bone cells, skin cells, whether they are neurons in our other body systems as well that are sending messages back and forth to our brain. All of them are very special cells, and they have a different life function that they work on. They are not like the single-celled organism where they have to do everything. So when we're talking multi-celled organisms, which is humans, when you start talking about a body system, you're going to have these specialized cells. And I'm going to move very quickly past a lot of this stuff because we do not need to spend a lot of time. We are going to start today with something called the skeletal system. The skeletal system. I don't think that there is anyone listening to this or watching this that would say to themselves that they are super shocked that the bones are the main organs of the skeletal system. That's something that we all know. That's something that we're all familiar with, and that's something that we're all very comfortable in talking about. And we probably know a few of these examples. Our skull, you can see your skull up here. Your ribs are here. I would have to spin this person around to see the spine and the vertebrae that protect your spinal cord. And when we talk about the four main functions, what do the bones do? I really don't think that anyone is going to be surprised by three of them. The fourth one, however, might kind of blow your mind. So let's think about this. Bones protect us. I can't just go up and walk over to Dalen and poke Dalen in the lungs and in the heart. Why? Because you have bones protecting you. They protect your different organs from harm. You can't just go up and thump someone in the brain. Why? Because your skull is there to protect you. So when you fall on the ground and you hit yourself, you're not injuring these vital organs that do other functions to keep you alive because the bones are doing their job. They are keeping those things protected. Stemming off of your brain is something called the spinal cord, and it's kind of like a giant phone line that branches out and sends messages and receives messages from all over your body. And you definitely would not want that, or your brain, which is encased up here in the skull. You would not want either one of those things that kind of run the show to have any chance of being damaged. Therefore, they are encased in bone, and the bones are protecting them. Again, I had 2 or 3 kids fall at recess yesterday. If you didn't have the rib cage and the sternum protecting your lungs and your heart, you could be easily damaged, and it could cause you to die very quickly. So the bones, they're doing their job. They are protecting you. Now, bones are very unique, and they give us our shape. I don't know if I have that in these slides or if that's something that I do later on, but if I were to show you the skeleton of a horse, you would probably say that's a horse. If I showed you the skeleton of a snake, Without having all of the stuff on the outside, you would say, oh, Mr. Bowens, that's most definitely a snake. If I showed you the skeleton of a giraffe, you would instantly go, yep, that's a giraffe. I can tell. Look at that long neck. Look at those bones where the neck would be. That's a giraffe. Well, that's because bones give us our shape. They give us our shape. And for us, with our shape and in partnership with the muscles, they kind of help us stand upright. Now, when we're looking at bones, because the muscles attach to the bones, and our bones have hinges, they have joints. If you take like your hips and up here, like in your rotator cuff, they have this ball and socket that kind of fit in each other. Working together with the muscles, the skeletal system also allows you to move around. And again, I don't think that anybody's going to be very shocked by that portion as well, because bones have a very specific thing that they do. The muscles are attached to that, and it helps us to move around. It's this last thing that bones do that probably would be new information to a majority of us, and that's the fact that on the inside of our bones, and when we get to the body system unit, we'll take a little closer look at this, they actually help make red blood cells. Those blood cells that move through our body, in our veins and arteries, carrying oxygen to and from in our body, those red blood cells are made in the bones. Now that one is actually kind of odd to think of. You would think that like the heart would make it or something, but it is not. And that is a question that I see pop up very often on tests and benchmarks and EOGs. I think they're just trying to trick you in hopes that you hadn't learned like the fourth and most odd thing that the skeletal system does. Next, we're going to take a little bit of a look here at, at the muscular system, the muscular system. Now, muscles are what help us to move. And pretty much any movement in the body, whether that is like the obvious movement, the movement of your entire body in conjunction with the muscular system, is due to the bones. The movement of the blood through your cardiovascular system has to do with one very important muscle. The movement of food, from the moment you start swallowing, there are muscles that move the food from your mouth down the esophagus into the stomach. There are muscles that help move the food in the stomach and get it really nice and juicy. Then there are muscles that move through a process called peristalsis that moves the food through the large and small intestines. And then there's even muscles that help remove food once it gets to the end of those intestines. Muscles have to do with the movement in our bodies. There is a muscle kind of like right up under our lungs called the diaphragm that expands and contracts, that helps us to move air in and out of our body. The muscular system is all about movement. Now, as you hear me complaining all the time because I move around a lot when I'm teaching, movement causes heat to be generated. And you know that because you can be standing still, but as soon as you start to run around outside, what happens? You start to get warmer and warmer, and especially these days, just walking makes you generate enough heat for you to start sweating. But when that happens, there are actually muscles in our body that are going to help open and close our pores so that sweat can come out and help cool us off. So muscles are involved in everything in our body that has to do with movement of some type. So again, whether you're raising your hand in class, whether you're standing up, walking around, you are able to control that movement. You can control whether you put your hand up and down. You can control whether you're standing or sitting. These are called voluntary muscles. These are things that you actually have control over because you do it voluntarily. It's not something that is happening without you thinking about it. So again, voluntary muscles are the ones that you can control. Again, voluntary muscles are the ones that you're helping you move your bones when you're walking, running, riding a bike, waving your arms around. When you're chewing, that is voluntary muscles. You don't just randomly start chewing in the middle of class. That's something that works voluntarily. Now, if there are muscles that work with you controlling them, there's also some muscles that are at work that you don't necessarily have as much control or any control over at all. And these muscles are called involuntary muscle. Now, you can already see that that's very easy to get mixed up because it's the exact same word, that voluntary word, except one has the prefix in on there. Now, your involuntary muscles are the muscles that you don't control. Now, you might think, well, Mr. Bones, I can control all of my muscles. Your heart is a muscle that is beating. You do not have to think about it. It is something that, in conjunction with the nervous system, works for you without you having to think about it. The food that is being digested and being moved by peristalsis through your digestive system is something that you do not have to think about. A majority of the time, blinking and breathing are things that you're not sitting at your desk thinking, breathe in, breathe out. Can I control my breathing and make it voluntary? In some instances, yes. Like when you dive off the diving board, you're choosing to hold your breath until you come up out of water. There's a reason why there are some of the things that we can control. Like I can shut my eyes and keep them shut. I can open my eyes and keep them open a little bit longer. But blinking is one of those involuntary things for the most part, but we can control it. And breathing is involuntary for the most part. And again, that heartbeat and the movement of food through your digestive system are done through these involuntary muscles. Okay. Just a few types of muscles that are very important that I want you to at least have heard these words before. Skeletal muscles. Now that one really kind of gives away what it does. These are the muscles connected to you guessed it, your skeleton. They are the ones that help you move around, and they are voluntary. You are controlling those. There's something called smooth muscle. Smooth muscle. These are very special muscles. They may not necessarily be connected to the bones, but they control your organs like your stomach and your intestines. They surround other organs, and they help your body move things through the system. And these are involuntary. Involuntary. You do not have to sit there and think after you've eaten a Pop-Tart, now I need to move this to my stomach. Now I need my stomach to churn around. Now I need my small and large intestine to pump and move the food through it. Your body does that for you involuntarily. There is cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle is basically your heart muscle. Again, very, very important muscle. And what it does is it moves blood through your body. It moves the blood through your body, and it is involuntary. Are there people out there that have learned how to control their heart rate by raising it up and getting it slower? Yes, but it is involuntary. It's not something you have to think about because it works on its own. I am going to end my video now, which we're coming up pretty much on the 15-minute mark anyway. There will be a few other videos attached inside of the RIME Google Classroom assignment as well. Those you will need to watch as well, and then you will take the quiz, and it will be time to move on out of RIME. Thank you so much. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe.